What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Check the Kick podcast. Sherdog.com is the website. I'm the host, Devin. Instagram handle and Twitter and all those things right there. We are back with another episode. We're going to be recapping UFC 302. Going to talk about the main event and the co-main event. Going to talk about a pretty popular topic these last couple of days, really today and yesterday. And we're going to move on to UFC Louisville, headlined by Jared Cannonier and Nassourdine Imavov. Kicking off the show, we're going to start with the first segment of the show, Out with the Old, and we are going to talk about Islam's fifth round submission win over Dustin the Diamond Poirier. And we're just going to get right into it. First off, poor Dustin Poirier. The dude in his 3 title fights had to fight. We're going to, I guess we'll include the Max Holloway one. He had to fight Max Holloway for the interim title, which is a feat in his own. Incredible win, incredible fight that they fought there. And then he had to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. Then he had to fight Charles Oliveira. Then he had to fight Islam Makhachev. Fought the 3 best lightweights ever. And 2 of them, when he took them on, were ranked number 1 pound for pound, one being Khabib and the other being Islam. And Charles was like right in the top 5, top 3 maybe at the time when they fought. So incredible. I mean, just an incredibly giant mountain for him to climb in a match like Islam Makhachev. The dude has beat so many people, former champions. Conor McGregor stopped him twice, 2 wins over Max Holloway, stoppage win over Eddie Alvarez, stoppage win over Justin Gaethje. All these are title challengers, title holding dudes that he just couldn't get the job done. And Islam Makhachev improves to, I believe, a 14 fight win streak, which puts him above the likes of George St. Pierre and Kamaru Usman and puts him in that realm, and Max Holloway puts him in that realm of guys like Anderson Silva. And good fight. In the Sherdog Slack and even in the post-fight show, I kind of commented that I wasn't really impressed with either one of their performances. And it was an incredible fight. But not being impressed by either one of the performances, I think, means more of neither one of them really got going in doing what they like to do and was super successful in trying to do that. I think, what was it, round 1, where Islam had a ton of back control, but didn't really get a ton going from it. And we're going to talk about Islam here in just a moment, but Islam's hands, like his boxing, looked really good. Not a lot of kicking, but maybe I think the free kick got taken away with the southpaw versus southpaw because he does like to throw that body kick quite a bit. Not a lot of kicks from Islam, which I kind of found interesting because Dustin Poirier's last loss, his last loss was via head kick KO. If I'm like stuttering or speaking weird, I bit my lip really bad and was bleeding like right before we started recording here. But I just found it weird that Justin Gaethje head kick knocked him out. And then in Islam's last win, he won via head kick knockout. And I was like, this dude's going to be spamming the shit out of head kicks. Nope. None. Not a lot of kicks from Islam. And maybe he saw the first Justin Gaethje fight where Dustin Poirier was able to counter with the straight left down the pike when Gaethje threw kind of a naked kick. So maybe that was his idea. Fellow Sherdog associate Keith Schillen said that he wouldn't be surprised if Islam could just go out there and outstrike Dustin Poirier, and he got a lot of shit on Twitter for that. But I kind of agreed with him. Like, Islam Makhachev is a really good striker, and he, as great of a wrestler grappler he is, like I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but Islam is a much more tricky grappler than he is, say, just like an incredible athletic force on the ground. especially if you compare him to who he's compared against Khabib. But like his striking is dynamic, his boxing is fast, his check right hook gave Poirier a lot of problems, buzzed Poirier. He's good in the clinch, broke Poirier's nose with a knee up the middle. Poirier also looked really good in the clinch. I said in the pre-fight that a lot of Islam's takedowns come from the clinch, where he will get you in the clinch, start trading knees with you, and the second you go to knee him in the body to return the favor, that's when he, will use a sambo or judo trip takedown, and he tried that against Poirier. Poirier in the clinch was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna smush this dude with body shots. Awesome. I love that. I love that idea. Beautiful switch that Poirier hit on Islam too. That was incredible. Poirier looked really good, but he also didn't look that great. Like he couldn't really get his boxing going. He crushed Islam with an elbow in the clinch. I think that when Poirier, and it was the same thing against Khabib as well, when Poirier has to worry about the wrestling, he is just not as dynamic of a striker. But he still did fine. I thought he looked a little slower in this fight, but maybe that was the risk, the threat of the grappling, the threat of the takedown. But his hand speed just didn't look there. Like he didn't land one check right hook, and that's like his shot. Islam also showed that Islam does not have the Khabib aura, and I'm just gonna say it now that we're here at this juncture. This fight proved to me personally that Islam Makhachev will probably have greater accomplishments and achievements as far as like title defenses and stuff. But Islam Makhachev took more damage in round 4 of this fight than Khabib did in his whole entire career, probably times 2. There's this really kind of resembled the Volkanovski fight in a way, where it was a lot of like back control with the body triangle, and that kind of seems to, you can make Islam tired in a fight. Islam seemed to get a little tired throughout this fight just by winning, and that's never that great to show as a champion. Like he definitely has a lot more weaknesses than Khabib. Khabib was just so much more durable, number one. Probably better cardio. Utilize his cardio better, but just a force. Like Khabib is and was. Can you imagine a tank going downhill? Like when he was rolling, nothing is stopping it. And Islam is much more of a, Khabib is a tank going downhill. Islam is a Humvee going over a flat surface. Still very fucking dangerous, but seems more just breakable, and not as dominant and not as punishing. He did almost hit Poirier with that Kimura. Was that in the second round, I believe, where Poirier was able to actually escape. Poirier defended a lot of takedowns in this fight. He said that he was training a lot with Gamrot for like 6 weeks of just pure wrestling, and it's kind of sad that low single turned into like Russian tie snap that he did with Poirier's leg was awesome, but that's like a fucking Gamrot thing. And shout out to Islam. Islam is really tricky. Like he just is a tricky fighter. He has a lot of he has way more tools than Khabib does or did. And you can tell that his game was kind of built to combat Khabib's just like punishing dominant ass force. Like that, he went from the guillotine and then transitioned to the Darce. Like that 5th round transition, all of it was, anybody else would have just died on that takedown and just got hammer fisted a ton, but not someone like Islam. Most impressed with Islam's boxing, his speed, his ability to kind of change angles and switch angles and land his left straight. His check right hook was really good. He buzzed Poirier and hurt him really bad in the first round with the check right hook. And then he kind of cut the angle and threw the left down the pike. He just seemed faster than Poirier. He's big, he's strong. He himself is durable. He's bleeding like fucking crazy. Got crushed, huge gash over his head. But showing chinks in his armor and chinks in the game, where again, someone like Khabib just, in my opinion, just didn't have those. For Dustin Poirier, he didn't retire in the octagon after. He kind of left the door open, said, if this is my last one, blah, blah, blah. And then he went on to thank all the women in his life. Just, I mean, I don't know a single person that doesn't like Dustin Poirier. And if you don't like him, that's probably more of a reflection on who you are as a person and not him. Because how do you not like a guy like that? Thanked all the women in his life, his grandmother, his mother, his wife, and his daughter. Big moment for him. And I just kind of feel bad for the dudes of luck. The time, trying to figure out the best way to describe this, the timelines like just shifted a hair in either direction. And this dude is, if Islam has another 2 or 3 title fights, like the last 3 he's had, and then Dustin Poirier pops up, maybe Dustin Poirier beats and a 33-year-old Dustin Poirier, beats him. Or maybe if the Dustin Poirier that fought Khabib back in 2019, or was it it was during COVID, 2021 maybe? I should know this off the top, but I don't. But the Dustin Poirier that fought Khabib probably would have beaten Islam this past Saturday night, just the poor guy, the way that, or if this was 7 years earlier, and he was the one that was fighting Conor McGregor when Conor McGregor moved to 155, or if he was in Conor's place fighting Eddie Alvarez. I mean, you can make up a million scenarios, but the way that this dude had to fight Khabib, Charles Oliveira, and Islam Makhachev for title fights, you can't think of many more. Can't think of many harder title fights. I mean, Max Holloway had to fight Volk 3 times and Aldo twice. But I still think 3 fights with Volk and 2 fights with Aldo are still probably not as difficult as 1 fight with Khabib, 1 fight with Islam, and 1 fight with Charles Oliveira. And that's kind of a crazy statement, but what's next for Islam Makhachev? It's strange in a way because Arman Tsarukyan is more than likely next, but he turned down a title fight. This could have been him. And he's probably kicking himself in the nuts because watching this performance from Islam, both guys look great. I would say Dustin Poirier overperformed based on what the betting odds showed. And maybe Islam, I wouldn't say underperformed, but showed his level, which is not bad. Like, he's still the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, but he's, shown to be maybe a little more breakable than someone like Khabib. And what's really funny is I think there's Arman Tsarukyan welcomes a game that kind of benefits someone with Islam's style. Like, I don't think Arman is as tricky and as slick of a striker as Islam is, even though he did have that crazy dynamic knockout of Beneil Dariush, and he has looked good in the grappling. But like Joaquim Silva hurt him really bad and stuff like that. It's crazy because I like, you look at 155 and you start going down the line and you're like, I don't see many tough fights for Islam just based on style. But when I look down a division at 145 and you got someone like Max Holloway, who has impeccable takedown defense, looked really good at 155 against Justin Gaethje, seemed to sit on his shots, have a lot of power, have incredible footwork, incredible hand speed. I mean, Is Max Holloway like the hardest fight for Islam Makhachev at 155? I kind of think he might be. High volume, can win rounds just based off volume, can stay in the pocket, be faster, more dynamic, better off the back foot, better wrestling defense. If Max Holloway was in there instead of Dustin Poirier this past Saturday night, I'm real curious to see what that looks like. And then the 145-pound champ. Yeah, he's small, but incredible boxing, really good vision in the pocket, dynamic puncher with incredible hand speed and big power, very good cardio, very good fight IQ. Oh, super athletic, and can wrestle his fucking ass off. I went and before I said this, I went and looked down the rankings at 155, and I'm like, Arman Sarukian, what he likes to do to people is like what Islam likes to do to people. But I think who's gonna beat Islam is someone that can up the punch count on him and defend his takedowns, because Islam in deep water, he showed in this fight with Dustin Poirier that, yeah, he can still pull the rabbit out of the hat and get a 5th round submission, but one of the judges had it 2-2 going into the 5th. And like the shots that Poirier kind of got buzzed up with, like, I don't know if Holloway's going to get hurt by shots like that. We're going to talk about Max Holloway a little bit more in the middle segment of the show, and we're going to move on from here really quickly. But yeah, I think the champion at 145 and the BMF champion, 2 dudes in a lower weight class, I think are the harder fights for Islam Makhachev right now. Unless he wants to go up to 170. He called for Leon Edwards. I don't know. I think he could probably beat Leon Edwards and maybe beat a Bilal Muhammad. But like, dude, there's a guy that wears a wolf on his head named Shavkat Rakhmonov that, like, you don't, I mean, Islam, if you're listening to this, which you're not, go have like 2 or 3 more title fights at 155. And then if Leon Edwards is still the champion, call him out and make that your retirement fight. You don't want to get stuck holding a belt at 170 when someone like Shavkat Rakhmonov is due for a title shot. And that's just anybody. Dustin Poirier, he said he wasn't sure if he was going to retire, blah, blah, blah. I love Dustin. He's like one of my favorite fighters. One of those dudes where I like him so much that I don't even like to watch him fight because I hate to watch him take damage. That's kind of where I am with my personal fandom for him. I think he would fight again in a Nate Diaz fight. I think he'd beat the shit out of Nate Diaz. But I think those are the type of fights he needs to be in next. Or, I mean, UFC 303 is coming up. Maybe he can fight the winner of that, or maybe he can fight Max for be a 3rd time for the BMF belt. Dustin Poirier doesn't need money. He's been fighting for legacy, and I'd like to see him take one more fight, or just give him like, I don't know, just give him like a winnable ass fight, someone that's going to strike with him that he can just knock out and like ride off into the sunset. Like, put him against like Renato Moicano or some shit like that. And as a fight night main event, let Dustin get one more win and walk away. That's about it on that one. We're going to take a bump down the card. We have co-main event winner Sean Strickland via split decision. Don't remember the guy's name, but Google it, because this guy deserves to be drugged through the fucking mud. This is also the same dude that scored the prelim curtain jerker for Mitch Raposo. Someone scored this fight 49-46 for Paulo Costa. But I'm going to say this here on Check the Kick, official Check the Kick scorecard, Sean Strickland via unanimous decision, because Helen Keller could have fucking saw that coming. That was really bad. Really, really bad. I actually have a screenshot. So if you go to MMAdecisions.com, you're not going to be able to see it. MMAdecisions.com. Every single media member scored the fight for Sean Strickland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 of us scored at 50-45. I was one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the other media members scored at 49-46 for Strickland. One person, I'm not going to say his name, scored at 48-47 Strickland. My two other Sherdog associates scored at 49-46 for Strickland, but I personally scored at 50-45. 50-45 or 49-46 are the most acceptable scorecards. I don't even know where the hell you get 48-47 from. Kind of just a clean sweep from Strickland. Costa tried to do stuff, but just couldn't. People call Strickland a boring fighter, but anytime I watch him fight, and he's just successful with the style that he's literally created, I love it just because it's literally like the equivalent of me creating my own martial art. Like Sean Strickland literally fights in a way that no one does. He has just created, he doesn't have a Muay Thai style. He doesn't have a boxing style. He doesn't have a Dutch kickboxing style. He doesn't have a Greco-Roman wrestling style. He's not a BJJ guy. He's literally just Sean fucking Strickland. Like he has this weird, he's a striker. That's what he's a striker. But his style is, people say it's like a Philly shell. It's really not. It almost reminds me of like when Anderson Silva used to do his like Wing Chun trickery shit. But he just put so many things out there. Like his teep kicks are one of his best weapons that continuously gets just under-mentioned. It doesn't get mentioned enough. When he closes the distance, he steps with a check or steps with a teep. There's no wasted movements when he's pressing forward. He is just not walking forward. You know, he's not walking forward, chin tucked. If you're not watching this, if you're only listening to this on audio, sorry, apparently there's an intruder. My dog is not happy. Yeah, if you're only listening to this on audio, I have a high guard here, chin tucked. No, that's not really Sean Strickland, but his forward pressure is not a lot of wasted movement. I'm pretty impressed by it. I love the way he teep kicks forward, but also uses that teep kick as a step to close the distance. Fucking blasted Costa. Costa posted a video. He's got like cuts and like lines all over his stomach. Sean Strickland probably like purposely grows his toenails really long just so he can stab them at you. I'm only kidding. It kind of reminded me of Marvin Vittori's face after he fought Jack Hermanson. He just looked like he got, attacked by a raccoon or a cat or some shit. But yeah, all the forward pressure from from Strickland against Costa. Costa just like didn't know what to do. He thought he was going to be able to sit back and like throw counter check hooks and blast him the same way that Pereira did, but Pereira's like 6'5" with an 80-inch reach or 79-inch reach or whatever. Costa's like 6 feet with a 72-inch reach. He landed like some decent body punches and some okay kicks on Strickland. If you ask Joe Rogan, Strickland's mobility is fucked. He's not going to be able to do this much longer. Yeah, there was one kick that Strickland checked with his back leg. That just fucking ruined Costa. Strickland is also getting to that level of I can't even say it. Kick checking. Right there. There's the sign. He's like almost on that Jan Blachowicz level. He's not kicking the same way, but like when it comes to checks, like there are not many dudes as good as a Jan Blachowicz or Sean Strickland. Like your leg kicking attack on him, just null and void. Doesn't do much. He crowds the kicker really well, presses forward, incredible vision. He puts a lot of things in between, and then if that doesn't work, he'll shoulder roll and tuck behind his shoulder. Sean fought this fight kind of masterfully. What annoys me about it, though, is the fact that in the 5th round, when he just said, fuck it, he lands everything he throws at Costa, drops him with a head kick, jumps back up, hits him with like a flying Spartan kick. Like he could have just done this in the 3rd round and probably finished Costa. Yeah, Costa's cardio held up, and it is definitely harder to be on your back foot the whole entire time than the front foot. But, Costa's fame and popularity and one wheel kick over Robert Whittaker is what got him this fight. Sean Strickland said in the pre-fight presser, like, this guy knows I'm better than him. Everyone here knows that I'm better than him. His coaches know that I'm better than him. I just can't fuck up. And he kind of fought that way. Sean Strickland is a dude that has a big mouth. Like, he likes to talk that shit, but he doesn't fight like that. He's a much more cerebral fighter than he reads. And people hate on it because he talks crazy, but they can't, people have trouble separating the art from the artist. They really, really do, especially in MMA, and especially when you have someone that talks crazy like Sean Strickland. But like, if Sean Strickland was, I don't know, Jared Cannonier, who we're going to be talking about shortly, people would be like, he's awesome. But he gets a lot of haters because he says a lot of stupid shit. And I completely understand that. And I would probably agree that 80% of the shit Sean Strickland says is pretty fucking stupid. He is starting to come around, though. He said in the post-fight, like, be good to your wife, be good to your girlfriend, be good to your family. None of this matters. And I kind of like it just seems like he's kind of becoming a man. But good performance from him. He did everything he was supposed to do. In my opinion, he pitched a shutout. Costa's corner was telling him, and like going into the 4th round, he was up 2-1. Dude, Paulo Costa needs to go get trained by Eric Nixick, because Eric Nixick told Sean Strickland, like, hey, bro, you're the dog here. I need you to piss all over the floor, like literally, basically verbatim. Go out there and finish this fight. And that's what Sean Strickland, he sealed the deal in the 5th round, did everything he was supposed to do. Clean boxing, good defense, did not take a lot of damage. I mean, fought him better than Robert Whittaker did. Fought Paulo Costa better than Robert Whittaker did. Fought Paulo Costa better than a lot of people did. He, the only other person that kind of made Paulo Costa look this bad was Adesanya. So good job from Strickland. Paulo Costa, he's ranked number 7 in the world still. He probably dropped down to like number 8. This is per the UFC's rankings, not Sherdog. He needs to be used at this point as a builder. If Keith listens to the show, he's going to love this. Give him Bo fucking Nickel. Give him Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel needs to go knock out someone like Gerald Mearshart, and then give Paulo Costa Bo Nickel, or, Anthony Hernandez kind of just pulled out of a fight that was supposed to happen this weekend. He's supposed to fight Dolidze. Make Fluffy Hernandez versus Paulo Costa, or Ikram Alaskirov, something like that. If Hamzat loses to Robert Whittaker, that fight makes all the sense in the world. But yeah, Paulo Costa's internet fame kind of bought him this fight. And then Sean Strickland said he's going to sit out and wait for a title fight. He wants the title. I agree with it. Sit out, bro. Do what you need to do. Sit out, wait, see if Duplessis beats Adesanya, or if that fight even happens. I mean, in my opinion, he beat Duplessis and he beat the shit out of Adesanya. So Strickland, just won in dominant fashion. He's going to be the biggest Robert Whittaker fan. He's going to pray that Robert Whittaker dusts Hamzat, but I'm not sure if Hamzat goes out there and dusts Robert Whittaker, he'd probably be sitting for a little bit, or he'll call out Hamzat himself. But yeah, great win, great fight from Sean Strickland. All around pretty okay card. Kevin Holland beats Michelle Olazashek via arm break, kind of, I guess. But he was on his way to he was getting pummeled up until then. I'm not mad about my pick until the arm break happened. Eileen Perez and Jocelyn Edwards squashed their beef. Nico Price and Alex Morono fought literally underwater. Randy Brown defeated Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. kind of an underwhelming card all in all, but the last three fights kind of saved it for me. Um, but yeah, that's UFC 302. All right, so that wraps up the first segment of the show. Out with the old, we're going to move on to the middle segment of the show, what's hot, and we are going to talk about what's not hot, and that is the UFC 303 press conference in Dublin, which is probably supposed to be taking place right fucking now when I'm recording this. But Conor McGregor's doing Conor McGregor shit. I hate to. Okay, I would love to not talk about Conor McGregor just in general. Just in general. I can't wait for the day where I'm still here doing stuff with Sherdog, talking to you guys, watching MMA, and Conor McGregor is just not a thing. I really can't wait for that day. Don't like the Conor McGregor fans. Don't like just being on social media and seeing what it's done to the sport of MMA. Conor McGregor did a lot of awesome things for the sport, but he also did a lot of bad things. So I just want to start with that. This is not some sort of clickbait thing because Conor McGregor is probably going to be in the title of this, but no, Conor McGregor has seemingly pulled out from the press conference, possible minor injury. Um, I will read to you what Conor McGregor has tweeted. And it reads as such. You can go to Conor McGregor's Twitter to find this. In consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all of your passion and support. I can't wait to put the greatest all-time I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the octagon. His commas and improper grammar, I guess you could say, kind of threw me off there. But Conor McGregor, if he can't find someone to blame, it's something that he definitely did. Not sure what's going on. Maybe he's like, fuck it, I'm just too hungover. I don't want to show up. There's also rumors that Max Holloway is preparing to defend his BMF title against Michael Chandler at UFC 303. I kind of hope that's just a rumor, but I also kind of don't. Because I'd rather see Max Holloway fight Michael Chandler than Conor McGregor because I just like Max Holloway better and I think he's a cooler fighter than Conor and he's just a cooler dude. I'd rather watch him make money. It's neither here nor there. That's just personal biases. But yeah, this looks like it's fucking spiraling. I don't think Conor McGregor has ever intended to fight Michael Chandler. The Ultimate Fighter season, whole fucking thing showed that. And now he can't even show up to the press conference in his own home country. And I mean, if you live in the United States, which I'm sure a lot of listeners do, you understand the different demographics and how fucking large the United States is. Like I live in the state of Washington. I could not get in my car and drive to New York City. Like that'd be impossible. But in Ireland, dude, it doesn't matter where you are. You can get to that press conference. And Conor McGregor has a lot of resources. You can get to that press conference. So what is he like stuck in Abu Dhabi, arrested? Did he, I don't know, diddle someone in Finland again? Remember that whole fiasco? Is he stuck in a bathroom stall in Miami Beach somewhere? I don't know. But he clearly can't show up to his own press conference. And it's definitely not Michael Chandler because, Michael Chandler would show up to this press conference with a gunshot wound if he had to. He would be there. He'd crawl there with no legs. Like Michael Chandler would be there if he had to. As long as he can make it there alive, he'd be there. Not sure what this means for UFC 303. I don't, in a messed up way, I don't care if the fight does or doesn't happen because I'm just not. Anything with Conor McGregor attached to it just gets kind of gross now. The fans on social media get gross. The press conferences get gross. He himself is just gross. It just becomes very disrespectful, and it almost becomes a shit stain on the sport whenever he's really there and active. Even his last fights with Dustin Poirier, like the way he went out leaving the octagon just left a bad taste in my mouth, and it left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths. It just kind of, again, showing his true colors. Tell me what you guys think in the comments if this dude is gonna fight at UFC 303. Still over a month away, still about a month out, so there's still time. There's time to get it figured out. And when I say Conor has all the resources, he has an incredible amount of monetary resources as well, to where he can pay his way out of damn near anything. So I mean, if the fight happens, I won't be surprised, and I hope it does happen. Mostly for Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's been on the shelf. He's purposely shelved himself for like 2 years because of this. Coach the Ultimate Fighter, the poor guy. It's got to be stressful, and maybe it's just a stunt. Maybe the whole thing is just a stunt to get in Michael Chandler's head. That wouldn't surprise me either. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Reach out to me on social media. There's my handle: Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Tell me if you think this fight's going to happen. Curious to see. All right, so that wraps up the middle segment of the show. We're going to go ahead and advance forward to UFC Louisville. In with the new is the final segment of the show. We are going to be talking about 2 fights, and I'm actually probably not even going to be able to watch them live because I'm going to be in Idaho, in Boise, for work this weekend. First fight we're going to talk about: Dustin Jacoby taking on Dominick Reyes. Dustin Jacoby is a pretty hefty favorite here. He's minus 238. Dominick Reyes is coming in at a plus 195. Both of these guys are kind of in tough spots. One of them had a crazy rise to the title, crazy rise to the top of the mountain. But I mean, if he climbed to the top of the mountain, he tripped, fell, and rolled down in an avalanche, and that would be Dominick Reyes. And Dustin Jacoby is still, slowly marching his way to the top. Slowly. I don't know if he'll ever get there. Dominick Reyes, he is known for the highlight of his career is a loss to John Jones, which, like, again, I said it earlier, about Sean Strickland and the unanimous decision. Dominick Reyes beat John Jones in a fight. It happened. I don't care what the scorecards say. I don't care what any of that says. You could watch that fight 20 times, and it would be hard to score it more than 5 times for John out of 20 watches. Like, yeah, Dominick Reyes beat John Jones in a fight. It happened. I don't care don't go to Sherdog.com. Don't care what the records say. Don't care. After that, he was the uncrowned champion. Dominick Reyes ran up to heavyweight, which seemed awesome at the time, and now it's freaking annoying because he won't fight anyone, but that's neither here nor there. Dominick Reyes after that was the uncrowned king. He just had to defend his title basically against Jan Blachowicz. Well, got knocked the fuck out for it. Jan Blachowicz was great in that fight. Dominick Reyes showed his athleticism and speed, but just couldn't hang with the big puncher that is crafty and just better than we all thought he probably was in Jan Blachowicz. And he looked fine against Yuri Prochazka but then he got completely detonated with that, one of the best knockouts in MMA history, that violent spinning elbow against the cage that just face planted Dominick Reyes. And Yuri even admitted that Dominick Reyes knocked him out with an up kick, and he was just on top of him, knocked out. That was an incredible fight, big time back and forth brawl, but Dominick Reyes lost. And then after that, he got knocked out by a jab by Ryan Spann. And the quality of opponent, yeah, Ryan Spann offensively, he's a giant, dangerous dude. But the difference between Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Prochazka and Ryan Spann is, it's, like Formula One racing and then some dude with just some souped out Honda Civic. I don't really know another, it would be like NASCAR versus a random ass street racer, some kid that thinks he has a fast car, in Ryan Spann. And he's taken some time off again, which is it's much deserved and much needed because the dude's damage is just overwhelming, the amount of damage that Dominick Reyes has taken. And Dominick Reyes was always a guy that really relied on his speed and athleticism. And I think that's something that's finally failing him. He's 34 years old now. And he's coming up against a guy that's in Dustin Jacoby, where Dustin Jacoby, I thought he beat Khalil Roundtree, but then his loss to Azamat Murzakanov, like he got hurt and buzzed real bad in the first round, and then he came back and I could have won, but still lost. I think he Murzakanov broke his arm in that fight, and who knows where Azamat Murzakanov even is. And then Alonzo Menafield, he was looking great, and then he gets hurt, and we saw what happened to Alonzo Menafield last time out. Justin Jacoby is a dude that was a glory kickboxer. Fought Alex Pereira, got knocked the fuck out. If you go watch that highlight, he got killed by Alex Pereira in glory. Check left hook. But Jacoby is a dude, long, lean, really nuts and bolts, throws straight punches, really good vision, fearless, but not a brawler, not huge power, but very, very clinical and technical. And I think that should be enough to beat Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes used to be a dude that would rely on his athleticism and vision and speed. He's got a really incredible rear foot counter where he can be backpedaling and then just cut a slight angle pivot and throw straight down the pike, a la Stipe Miocic and Fabricio Verdum. But I just don't know if he has that anymore. And he'd be willing to take a shot to give a shot. But I mean, I'd love to see Dominick Reyes come back and get a win here. Much deserved, but I just don't. Dustin Jacoby might lose a round of this fight, but I could see him just the same way he finished Kennedy and Nzechukwu, just being a little more clean, a little more precise, and a little more brave in the pocket, and less reliant on athleticism and durability, and more relying on technical proficiency. And even though he's a little more nuts and bolts than Dominick Reyes when it comes to just being a kickboxer, I think that's Dustin Jacoby is probably the least dangerous dude he's fought. But Dustin Jacoby is, far more technical than dudes that have hurt and finished Dominick Reyes in the past. And I think with a deteriorated chin, less self-confidence, and deteriorated athleticism, paired with Jacoby's number one need for a win. Both of these guys need a win, but Jacoby really needs a win here. Yeah, I could just see Jacoby hurting him with something. Give me Jacoby by a second round knockout in a fight that's potentially close until it's not anymore. Moving on to the main event. Main event of UFC Louisville. There's not even a fighter from Kentucky on this card. Most known for their judo federation. Louisville. Jared Cannonier versus Nassourdine Imavov. Odds on that fight, Jared Cannonier is a slight underdog coming in at plus 110, which is a surprise to me. He is fighting Nassourdine Imavov, who is the favorite, minus 130. Jared Cannonier from Alaska started in the UFC as a heavyweight, and Nassourdine Imavov is the French Dagestani, who is the least Dagestani fighter on the roster. And I would have said that about Roman Kopylov until this past weekend where he out-wrestled Cesar Almeida. But Nassourdine Imavov, a guy that I just still don't understand. I still don't think he has shown all of his abilities. And he is just such a fucking middleweight. He should probably just this Jared Cannonier shouldn't be fighting this fight. Jared Cannonier should have been fighting I don't know, a rematch with Sean Strickland, or a rematch with Robert Whitaker, or a rematch with Izzy. Those are the type of fights he should be in, because he's much higher ranked. He's 40 years old, though. I'm a little surprised to see that he has he's an underdog here, but he did have a knee injury, I believe ACL repair. So his last two wins, he's actually coming off of one of the former champion, Sean Strickland. And then after that, he went out there, got hurt by Marvin Vettori and then turned Marvin Vettori's head into a fucking basketball and dribbled him all over the octagon for 4 more rounds after that. Never seen Marvin Vettori more hurt in a fight than he was last time out. And Marvin Vettori is just like in Italy somewhere doing God knows what, eating freaking tiramisu in Italy, making pizzas and shit because, yeah, I mean, if you go watch that fight back, Jared Cannonier beat the fuck out of Marvin Vettori, beat that boy senseless. Nassourdine Imavov looked good against Chris Curtis, got some takedowns, but the head clash, he fought Sean Strickland on short notice and lost, but looked okay. What is Nassourdine Imavov good at? He's really fast. He's elusive, very unbothered by a fight. Like, he doesn't look alarmed. He doesn't look shaky in a fight. He doesn't look nervous to get into the pocket and hit people. He's got really good footwork, really good athleticism, kind of short reach, shorter. He's trying to find a way to explain this. He's big and small at the same time. The way I look at him, like, he's big, but he doesn't read as a guy. Like, he doesn't have huge reach or anything like that. Jared Cannonier, I mean, like, his BMI, like, the dude's got no fat. I mean, he's started off as a heavyweight, then went to light heavyweight, and then now at 40 years old, hasn't aged. He's literally timeless, and he is chiseled from stone. He may have like the dude's just got no body fat. I don't know a more shredded person on the whole roster. Like him and Ariane, if him and Ariane Carnelossi had a baby, it would just huge. Odds on this fight, I think, have a lot to do with Jared Cannonier being 40 years old, and I think it has a lot to do with his layoff and his knee repair. If anybody could win a title and contend for a title at 40 years old, in my opinion, in 2024, would be someone like Jared Cannonier. Number one, because middleweight. And number two, because he's just crazy. Like, his crystal thing, maybe that helps him. I don't fucking know. But the dude doesn't age. He looks like one of those dudes that sleeps like 20 hours a day, just like in a comatose state. Never ages, never grows. Jared Cannonier is a dude that not a good wrestler, not good takedown defense. But if he gets you hurt and you end up on your back in front of him, his ground and pound is some of the most devastating in the UFC. You can put him next to, like, I mean, it's like Derek Lewis, Habib level ground and pound. Like, he's punching your head through the fucking octagon if he gets you down. He's just so big and powerful with long wingspan, so he can be on top of you close, but really get his arm far back and land punishing shots. He's definitely the better power puncher of the two, but sometimes he can be a little bit, low volume, and that's a problem that he's had in the past. And he can be a little chinny in a way, but he's just so dangerous. He's got big power. His leg kicks are a problem. He finished Anderson Silva with a leg kick. And he has been the dark horse of the division forever. And he still kind of is in a way where he had a close fight with Izzy, where like some little tweaks he could have won. He beat Sean Strickland. I think he actually lost that fight, but like did enough to beat Sean Strickland. Man, if you remove the ACL thing, I don't even care about the age. It's just more the knee surgery and the long time away. But if he looks the way he did in rounds 2 through 5 against Marvin Vettori, I don't see why he doesn't beat Nassourdine Imavov. Maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm just still not seeing it with Nassourdine. Again, I still don't think he's shown all of his abilities, but Jared Cannonier is going to get hurt at some point of this fight. He kind of does in a lot of his fights. Like Robert Whittaker hurt him with the head kick. Vettori hurt him in the first round. A lot of people hurt Jared Cannonier. And maybe Imavov wrestles him. I think that's a really good route for Imavov to start wrestling and, mix that in and just make that a known threat from the jump, because that could really impact Jared Cannonier's ability to open up with the strikes. But Imavov has to win this fight for me to start picking him in fights in the future. And I just haven't seen Imavov win that fight where he shows me everything. He shows me what he can do to beat a title challenger, an OG of the division in Jared Cannonier. So slight underdog, but give me Jared Cannonier to win by decision. He's going to get out wrestled here or there, but he's really tough. He's a really dynamic striker. When I say dynamic, I mean dynamic with his power. I can see him just landing tons of kicks and, potentially hurting Imavov. If Imavov takes him down and he lands up on top and gets on top with a reversal, his ground and pound is there. And Imavov flagged against, he didn't take the fight on short notice, but he was like flagging against Sean Strickland. And I know you don't want to play MMA math, but like in a very similar fight, Jared Cannonier won just by being the power puncher. So give me Cannonier to just be a more impactful power puncher, land the bigger shots, crush him with leg kicks. But he's 40, ACL injury. We'll see. Jared Cannonier is the underdog by decision is my pick. That's the show, guys. Check the kick, Sherdog.com. Enjoy the fights.